technology is best when it binds people together. Having said that, Ayush Pandey, currently working as a data engineer, bring you some of the information and tips with one of our special guests, Imanpreet Bindra. He is a lead data engineer with lot of valuable experience in database activities like designing, development, integration, analysis, modeling, and administration over both transactional and warehouse databases. He is the one of the best SQL developer that I have ever worked with. So let's welcome our special guest, Imanpreet Bindra. So welcome Imanpreet Bindra. He is one of the finest data engineer with us, whom I known with. So Iman, welcome. How do you landed into the data engineering job? How do you think what data engineering look like to you?
First of all, Ayush, thanks a lot for inviting me to this conversation. Like, it's very, I'm very honored to be part of this, and it will be great if my experience can be helpful to any of the new joiners or any of the members who want to pursue data engineering. So data engineering, if I talk about myself, so I started my career as a database administrator, which we normally talk as DBA. And then I moved to database development. And then now finally I'm a data engineer. So it's a journey. It's not something that from the college pass out, I started as a data engineer, or it has been given as an option to me. So data engineer is something which I want to be. And I have gone through that journey and understood that techniques or technologies which is needed. I learned them and then I landed into this kind of profession.
So talking about the technologies, Iman, what are the core technologies that you think required for a data engineer basically?
Okay.
As we see, it is the industry is changing to the cloud. Mainly, everyone is going to the cloud, and some are doing into the on-premises also. So, how do you see what are the core technologies skill, and how do we balance this cloud and on-prem so that one can land into the data engineering good job?
Okay, so before starting that, I will quickly, give an overview to everyone what data engineering is. So, if you go 5-6 years back, there was no data engineering job. Frankly speaking, I've never listened about this kind of profession, data engineer.
Right.
Okay, so this is something which is coming as per the new technologies, as per the new need. Okay, earlier you used to have database developers, then database administrators, because we have on-premises a big databases there. Okay, so to manage that database alone, we need some kind of resources, which we used to call as database administrators. Okay, and then there was database developer who work on the modeling part of data, who write queries, who design the tables, and and all kind of procedures, how you fetch the data, how you insert the data.
Right.
So these were two main data, data technologies or data domains where people used to work. Okay, I have worked on both. But when we come to database engineering, it's the club of that. Now, as Ayush mentioned, that there is, hype that everyone is moving to cloud on premises. So this is the hype that when cloud was introduced in the companies, and I'm saying introduced in the sense at an enterprise level, cloud is there from last 15-20 years.
Correct.
But the one which is there like AWS, which is now readily available, Azure, GCP. Okay, so when that thing comes into picture, then most of the databases are provided as a service. So when we talk about as a service, it means you need not to manage the infrastructure, you need not to install any database, you need not to take the backup, you need not to restore anything, you need not to take care of high availability or clustering, nothing like that. So at the end, you are simply removing the job of database administrator. Okay, now coming back to the position, why I'm saying removing but not completely removing, because when we talk about DBAs, they are not simply installing or maintaining the high availabilities. They are, security aspect of the data. When we say roles, users, how you will access the data, encryption, whether you want to encrypt or not want to encrypt, because everyone don't want to encrypt the data. So when these kind of stuff came, then we need a database administrator skills. Okay, and then coming back to database development, it will always be there as a database engineer. Okay, so these are the two, playing with the data and securing the data. These are the two work which a data engineer do. Okay, now technologies range is very high, very high. So if you talk about data engineer, there is no limit to technologies. I think Ayush will agree on that.
Right, I agree.
Every company got its own set of tools, applications, languages they are looking at. So if I talk about me, when I was in another company, they were asking for PostgreSQL, Go language, and then SQL SSIS, which is an ETL tool, and
Right.
you need Informatica, which is again an ETL tool, AWS Glue and Airflow. A lot of things are there. Like each and every company got its own tech stack. But overall, if I talk about one thing which you need to know is an ETL tool, which is an
Right.
extract
Okay.
transformation and load tool. Okay, so that is needed because data sources can be anything. It can be CSV, flat files, or it can be a stream. Okay, so you need to know two ETL tools. In fact, I will say not one. One will be a normal ETL tool to handle kind of flat files or uh, batch data. I will say
Structured kind of data.
not structure, batch data,
Batch
where you
data.
are getting the
Okay.
batch. Another will be streaming. Streaming is nowadays in very much demand. It's not there in the financial industry, I will say right now, because it's normally work on closing, but still,
Ah,
uh, the applications which are working on real-time stock price data,
right.
and thanks to modeling, AI models, and predictions. I think Ayush is working on that. Uh, so
Yeah.
when that things comes into picture, streaming plays a big role. Streaming is what data is coming, it is generated, and on the spot it is coming to your database. And anything you want to perform, it should be there. It's not we are waiting for a day and waiting for a hour or a 4 hour or like there is no as such batch. It's real time data processing.
Real time. Right.
So for that reason, you need to know two ETL tools, first of all, and then one language. Okay. And frankly speaking, if I talk about data engineering, Python is the king. Okay. Python is really a Python. So it's
No,
a big
exactly. I will completely agree on this fact actually because I think Python is a main core skill. Python and PySpark basically the core skill because without that I don't think data engineering is possible eventually.
Yes, completely agree with you. So if you say that I know Informatica, I know Oracle, I
Uh,
know SQL Server, you're not a data engineer, you're not a database developer. Don't mind.
right.
Okay. You need to have a language with you. Okay. So I learned Python. So I was very good in SQL. Okay. I've
Mhm.
tried a lot of companies as a data engineer. Earlier, I want to join this particular domain, but I was not able because I was not having a language with me. Okay.
Got
Language
it.
means programming language. I'm not talking about SQL. SQL is a good language, a complex language, but SQL
And we
is
know how good you are with the SQL. You. uh,
thanks, Ayush. So Python is very much important. Another language is Go. Go is again a parallel, a very good language which is in progress, I will say, and in demand. A lot of companies are working. Like my previous company was working in Go. They have created a complete framework, ETL framework on Go language. So Go is also a very good language, but other one you need to know. So first of all, two ETL tools, one for streaming and one for batch processing. If a tool do both like Alteryx, it's not a completely ETL tool, but it supports both streaming as well as uh, batch processing.
That
Same goes with
processing.
AWS Glue. Glue is a
Yes.
very great service. It performs both streaming and
Batch.
batch processing. But you need to know the concepts, how streaming works, how uh, batch processing works. That concepts are needed. But if you have a knowledge of Python, if you have a knowledge of Go, I think at the back end, I think Ayush will agree with me, you need not to have a tool. So
I completely agree.
if you have that skills, if you are too good in that kind of programming with any of the language, you can create your own framework. So I was working in a company where whole ETL was developed through Go. So we are taking data from different providers inside and outside the company, but everything was through Go. No
Right.
outside tool. There is a benefit. First, it is independent. So you can take your Python code, you can move it to AWS. It's
Correct.
cloud
The
agnostic,
main thing
right?
I was going to mention that only
Right.
because Python is something which connects your cloud and the developer thing. Like if you want to develop something on the cloud, so eventually Python becomes the core skill if you are a data engineer
Right.
or PySpark. So and even the main role I in Python, I would say to must know have a NumPy, pandas, and deals with the data basically data libraries which deals with the data libraries.
Right.
Not basically so Python itself is a big language I would say,
See,
but you should focus on the pandas, PySpark, and
uh,
these basic
NumPy, yep.
libraries I would
Yeah,
say.
these three I will say is the basic library as Ayush mentioned, NumPy, Pandas, and PySpark. PySpark,
Right.
most of the companies don't use this, don't mind, but PySpark is really fast. Okay, so there is a Snowpark. I'm doing
Exactly.
a POC on that. Ayush is aware of it. So
Ha,
Snowpark is again a PySpark killer. So if you are using Snowflake as a database, as a data warehouse solution, or I will say a database solution, then Snowpark is again very competitive to PySpark. So we are not getting into that discussions. But yeah,
Exactly.
if you want to be a data engineer, just remember one thing: SQL plus Python. I hire a lot of data engineers. So the one thing I look into that is they should be good in SQL. They should be good in Python. I'm not as looking for, a champion in SQL or a champion in Python. Okay. Good in both. A
Good in
combination of
both,
SQL
right?
and Python is very much needed because there are
When
certain kinds of,
hmm,
data manipulations which you can do at Python, which is very fast.
exactly,
Yes, and that is
exactly.
not that easy. In fact, some kind of manipulations are completely very difficult at SQL level. I will not say it is not possible, but it become
But it
very
becomes a bit
complex and
complex,
slow.
right?
And slow, I will say. So you need to increase the warehouse size in that case.
So eventually, when I started my journey, I didn't know any of the much of the ETL tool. I know the Python, Pandas. I have a very strong command and PySpark. So I just gone with the flow, like taking Python as a base and then learning the different ETL tools and all when I started my journey as a data engineer. And I completely agree with your fact. Like if you have a Python plus SQL, then you can become a good data engineer. So even coming to the next question,
Just one thing I will add on to
yeah, sure.
your thing for everyone else who's listening. See, as Ayush mentioned that he has taken Python as a base, SQL as a base. When you take a language as a
Right.
base, it's easy to proceed in your company. Okay, every company will use a different ETL tool. Don't stick that I need to know.
Correct.
I need to know Informatica. I need to know SSIS. Don't stick to that kind of jiggles. Okay, simply have the base of Python and SQL, and then start learning tools as and when you move to company. Sorry, Ayush, please.
Yeah, it's okay, man. So recently, if you see the industry trend recently, how data scientist field is evolving, I would say. Okay. And do you think does data engineer get some underrated in front of data scientist?
Uh, very
What
nice
are views
question.
on it?
Very nice question, Ayush. And in fact, don't mind, guys. I'm a data engineer, so I can be a bit biased towards data engineers. Okay. So, see, things are, again, when we talk about data scientists, there are two kind of data scientists. Ayush and me used to have this kind of conversation. So there are two type of data
Exactly.
scientists. One is who have gone through the data science, data science courses, or they have gone through the data science models. They have understood the models. Okay. And some are accidental data scientists. So what accidental data scientists mean? I have gone through Kaggle. I have gone through 4 or 5 models. I have run those code. There is step-by-step approaches there. And now I'm a data scientist because I know linear regression, I know classifications, I know 4 or 5 models. See, running a model is not a difficult thing. It's a very easy thing. Okay, you need to have a data, you need to fit it. Model is ready. Okay, your model is trained, start using it. I'm not saying data scientist is that easy. That's what I'm telling you. Doing these things is normally done by accidental data scientists. But understanding the class, what kind of model or what kind of algorithm you need to know and how good it is and hypertuning and doing a lot of things. I'm not a data scientist, so I can't go in detail into that. But that is that is something a data scientist do. Feature selection, that is the most important thing I will say. If you're not aware of what your data is, then there is no sense of becoming a data scientist. It's not a database scientist, it's a data scientist because you're working on the data. But data engineer, what I believe, without data engineer, data scientists don't exist. However,
Correct.
vice versa is possible. Why I'm saying? Because if I know a model, if I know a use case, if I know a financial industry is working on this kind of model, something is there on, see, internet is big. I know these kind of models can be used. Okay, I know if linear regression algorithm can be used. Okay, so that thing, if I know, I can simply Google it. I can find out the 5-line codes and I can run the model. I can train my model. But that preparation of data, the data you get, it's in, don't mind, it's in very bad form.
I
Sometimes there is
completely
a lot of
agree.
null data.
Completely agree.
Yeah. So if data is that poor, there is no sense in doing any kind of ML or AI model. There is no sense of running those models. So you're running model with a null data, you're running model with a data which is having continuous one value. There is no sense. The prediction will not be correct stuff. Okay. So that cleaning of data, that preparation of data, which is very much important, that is done by data engineers. So getting a data from an Excel file or getting a data from a streaming device and real time. See, just take an example of Google cars,
Right.
automated car, Tesla cars. What is this? You can't say that I'm driving a car and then after for 1 hour batch processing, AI models will give the prediction. No, it's a real time stuff. If you're seeing a car at the, at something at in front of your bonnet, you need to apply the brake. That is how AI model works in real time.
Completely agree. And I think going forward, I don't see data engineer or data scientist as a two different field. Neither we should compare these two fields,
Right.
because what I say is key data engineering is the 70% if you are building any of the machine learning or data science model. The
Right.
70% work is done by the data engineers to collect the data, prepare the data, make it available to the business or the data scientist in such a way that they can directly and easily use those kind of data sets. It can be n number of data sets. And
Completely
after
makes
that,
sense. Yeah.
yes. So like I personally feel we don't like eventually currently we are going through this kind of situation in the industry, but in future I would say data engineer and data science should be on the same page, and they should be work very close together to create some business or best machine learning models. That is
Yeah. In
preferably I
fact,
would
I
say.
can say there will be time when, and in fact, I will not, there will be, because when I go through a lot of job descriptions in the
Mhm.
big companies, okay, so if you go through their job description, somewhere they are expecting a data engineer to have a machine learning or AI related knowledge. Same way they're expecting a data scientist to have a Python or PySpark
Correct.
language. So as I was saying that 6 7 years at start of my career, there was no data engineer. There is no job like data engineer. There were database developer, there were database administrators. Okay, now when I come to market, okay, everything is clubbed. Everything is clubbed now. Data engineer is
Right.
basically database developer plus administrator, because you need to have a little bit more of a salt and chilies of Python and other programming languages. So it's a combination of
Completely
that. Same
agree.
way as Ayush mentioned, in going future, there can be time when data scientists or data engineers will not exist as an isolation. Okay, there
Correct.
can be a club of a single job, or there will be job description of a data scientist which includes tasks which data engineer need to be done. Okay, so yeah, for any data engineers, I think if you want to grow, if you want to pursue something more, if you are good with your data engineering skills, data scientist is the next step. I'm not saying it will you need to be a data scientist, but having a knowledge of data science, because eventually you are working for those things, because going forward AI and ML is the future. Right now also it's a future. So if you're working on that part, you should understand what machine learning model is doing, how the
Correct.
what training of data is working, what different steps are. So
Right.
having that kind of knowledge will help you to grow, I will say.
So even last but not the least question, I would say, what do you give, like what are the suggestions that you give to our aspiring data engineers or the one who are looking for the job in the data engineers? Like just a 2 or 3 lines.
See, as mentioned in my at the start of this discussion, guys, if you want to be data engineer, believe me, I have started my data engineering career at 7.5 year of experience. So you are starting at at early stage of your career, you are in better position than me. So if you are going with data engineering line, guys, just have three things in your mind: good Python or Go. Python, if you can learn Python, there is no match to that. Good SQL, and I will say SQL doesn't mean select star from table where this is equal to this.
Right.
SQL is very big, because I'm very much
Actually,
surprised. I'm not able to find a single good SQL developer in the market. Believe me.
completely agree.
So if I
Completely
simply,
agree.
I think Ayush will also agree. So SQL
Completely
is
agree.
always underrated stuff, but a good SQL writer is always, always a asset for a company. It's not a
Correct.
liability. So if you know good SQL, if you know good Python, guys, you are ready as a data engineer. Okay. Just start searching for the jobs and keep practicing. One thing, keep practicing, because Python, PySpark is the thing, SQL is the thing, it's a language. Okay. The moment you stop working on those things, you will start forgetting, and don't be afraid that okay, 1 month back, I can write a program to read data from, AWS S3. I can perform analysis using pandas. Now I can't do. Don't get afraid, guys. You forgot things because you are not working on it.
Exactly.
And you can agree, like, it's too big,
It-
man. Pandas are
Correct.
Python is too
Correct.
big. There are a lot of libraries every
It's
day. New
okay
library
to
is
shift
coming.
from one thing to another. If you don't remember the earlier one, it's okay. At least you know the base of the things.
Base, yes. Keep
Right.
strong. Your base should be strong. You should know how programming work. You should know how libraries are imported. Don't say that after one
Exactly.
month you're not you're not aware how to import a library.
Correct.
These
Correct.
kind of things, you should be clear on your data structures. You should be aware of list, dictionaries. These things are a base. If you are clear on these stuffs, libraries will come and go. You don't know whether when a
Ah,
pandas will be replaced by some more efficient
Exactly.
libraries. There are libraries which are
Ah,
competing pandas. So don't restrict yourself, or don't be worried about the libraries. Keep your concepts clear, keep your base clear, and you guys, you are ready to be a data engineer. And believe
okay.
me, it's a very interesting domain. Lot of things are there, lot of opportunities are there.
So thank you, man. Thank you for giving your valuable time to us to have this kind of discussion. I think this will help more people to get into the data engineering jobs. And people to you, if you guys have any doubt, please do comment. We will definitely able to answer you. Okay. And thank you so much, Iman. Thank you so
Thanks,
much.
Ayush. Thanks for letting me speak and part of this discussion. And if needed, I
It's
will share my
pleasure to us, Iman. It's
LinkedIn.
pleasure to us.
I will share my LinkedIn link with Ayush. He
Sure,
can
Iman.
share with you guys if you have any questions, any doubt. Ayush is there. I am here. So no need to worry. Just type a message. We will respond.
Yeah. Thank you, Iman. Thank you so much. Bye
Thanks,
bye.
Ayush.